Not every ride stands out for its size or speed. Some, like Flight Commander at Kings Island, were quieter attractions, simple in design, built to give riders a controlled and steady experience above the ground. But in 1991, that sense of simplicity didn't prevent something from going wrong. During operation, a malfunction caused part of the ride to fail, leading to a sudden and serious incident that left riders injured. There was no dramatic buildup, no obvious warning beforehand. It was the kind of moment that caught everyone off guard. And that's what made it so unsettling. It showed that even the more modest rides, the ones people least expect, can still carry risks when something beneath the surface doesn't work as intended. In 2022, the Tivoli Friheden Action Park always remained packed with people laughing, waiting in lines for their favorite rides. But on one fateful day, everything turned upside down with the Cobra Rollercoaster, a beloved ride everyone looked forward to. One day, in the middle of the ride, something no one expected happened. Suddenly, a working part of the train came off its counterparts. Soon after that, the rear section detached while the ride was still moving. In mere seconds, a fun experience turned into chaos and panic. The train derailed soon, and one person's life was lost, with several others injured. The aftermath was devastating for the witnesses. Pieces of the ride were scattered everywhere, making it clear just how serious the situation had become in a matter of moments. Following this incident, the park was shut down right away amidst public outrage, and authorities soon began investigating the root causes. Early signs pointed to a structural problem, raising questions about the machine's wear, maintenance, and whether warning signs had been missed. There was a time when racing coasters were the main attraction, and at Revere Beach, the Derby Racer was one of the most talked about. Two tracks ran side by side, trains competing at high speed, giving riders the feeling of a true race every time they climbed aboard. But that excitement didn't always stay under control. During one incident, a rider was thrown from the train while it was still in motion. The race continued for a moment, but the outcome had already turned tragic. It wasn't a mechanical collapse or a dramatic breakdown. It was something far more sudden and unpredictable. And in the end, it became a reminder that even rides built for fun and competition can become dangerous in an instant, especially when there's little room for error. At first, the Mind Scrambler at Playland in New York didn't seem like a high-risk coaster. It was smaller, familiar, the kind of attraction people often rode without a second thought. But in 2007, that sense of ease was shaken. During operation, a failure in the restraint system caused a rider to be thrown from the ride. It happened quickly, with little warning, leaving no time to react. The ride came to a stop, but the impact of what had happened lingered far longer. What made it especially troubling was how ordinary everything had seemed just moments before, proving that even the most routine rides can turn dangerous when something critical gives way. It was the kind of ride people noticed immediately. Perilous Plunge at Knott's Berry Farm towered over the park, its near-vertical drop promising a moment that felt bigger than anything else around it. And for most, that's exactly what it delivered, until 2001. On one run, as the boat made its way down the steep descent, a rider was thrown from their seat. It happened in an instant, turning what should have been a controlled experience into something far more serious. The ride didn't appear to fail dramatically, and that's what made it harder to process. Everything looked normal, right up until it wasn't. In 1999, the Wild Mouse roller coaster at Blackpool Pleasure Beach saw a fatal accident when a car derailed. The rider was thrown from the vehicle, leading to serious injuries and eventual death. The ride was later removed, and safety procedures were reviewed across similar attractions in the UK, resulting in many closures and warnings issued for multiple rides of the same nature. However, there were no countermeasures that could ultimately bring the life lost back. The Railblazer, with its single track and sharp, twisting layout, built to deliver quick, intense moments one after the other. It was fast, compact, and felt precise in a way that made it seem completely under control. But even with that control, incidents still found their way. There were moments when riders reported unexpected impacts and discomfort, raising concerns about how intense the experience really was. Nothing about it suggested a dramatic failure. The train stayed on track, the system worked as designed, and that's what made it stand out. Sometimes, the risk isn't in something breaking, it's how far a ride can push the limits before it starts to affect the people on it. Everyone thought Space Invader was just a harmless little ride, quiet, unassuming, and easy to overlook. It never seemed like it could cause any real trouble, right? But one day, that sense of safety vanished. During a ride, a rider was thrown off, suddenly and without warning. The ride stopped, but the shock of what happened stayed with everyone who saw it. What made it worse was how ordinary everything had seemed just moments before. The treetop twister didn't look dangerous at first. A small, spinning ride tucked away in the trees. Most guests expected just a light-hearted and fun ride. But one day, that expectation was shattered. A rider was thrown from the ride in an instant, with no time to react. The ride eventually stopped, but the memory of the accident stayed long after. What made it so jarring was how ordinary everything had seemed just moments earlier. A clear reminder that even the simplest, quietest rides can hide some serious risks. At Wild Wonder, Jillian's Wonderland Pier, a small decision led to an unimaginable tragedy. The reason that paved the way for that unfortunate incident was a replacement. The ride's original, safety-approved anti-rollback device had been swapped for a locally made one that was never properly tested. The replacement didn't show any irregularities, but the actual issue was quietly building up until one day, a mother and her child climbed into the car, full of excitement and laughter, ready for a fun day at the park. Everything was going quite well, but all of a sudden, the untested device failed. The car rolled backward out of control and slammed into the station. Both mother and child were thrown from the ride, dying instantly. Screams of shock and horror erupted from the surrounding families. So what should have been a joyful memory became a nightmare. One unsafe decision left a lasting scar on the park, on the families, and on everyone who saw it. It stands as a reminder of how fragile life is and how crucial safety truly remains. On May 30th, 1906, at White City's Loop the Loop ride, nobody had the faintest idea that a day of fun would suddenly turn into pure horror. The wooden track, weakened from poor maintenance, couldn't hold the car as it raced along. Suddenly, with a violent jolt, the car jumped the track. One man was killed instantly, and 3 others were seriously hurt, their screams echoing through the park as panic spread. Visitors who had come for a thrilling day were faced with chaos and heartbreak instead. What should have been an exciting ride became a nightmare in seconds. That day left a lasting fear and grief, a stark reminder of how quickly joy can turn into tragedy while safety is on the line. White City would never forget the lives lost, or the pain that swept through its once lively grounds. Roller coasters are meant to bring joy, laughter, and thrills. But sometimes, the same ride can turn into a nightmare in an instant. These insane incidents remind us of the importance of safety and vigilance, even when going out for a day of fun. While we feel the thrill and excitement, we must also remember the lessons and the people behind these disasters.